Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good eye, depending on where you are in the world. And now I'm once again in the Extreme News television studio here in Hessen in Germany. And today I have invited a guest, Feli Popescu, a Romanian who actually has been living for 30 years in Germany. But we actually met via the Bolan Report in California. And today is the first time we've actually physically seen each other. Now, you are, I believe, a medical journalist, a blogger. You spent many years studying vaccines and lots of things around that. Would you like to just tell us a little bit?
Yes, so I'm a medical journalist and a blogger, and above all, an informed mother. And as the saying goes, nobody does better research than an informed mother.
Oh,
not even the FBI, trust me. So when it's about our children, you can be sure of that. So I've been doing research on vaccines for 11 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And because at first I had to decide for my child to get him vaccinated or not. And this is how I discovered the whole world of, let's say, misinformation and brainwashing and everything that the mainstream sources were not saying.
Yeah.
And then I started translating various medical articles and articles written by doctors and biologists. And my mentor is a German biologist called Dr. Stefan Lanka. And I've read all his books and all his articles and his newspaper, his magazine that he's publishing. It's called Wissenschaft Plus. And I've also published articles in his magazine, Science magazine. And he is, to me at least, the most honest scientist that I know.
Just let me put this in context, because Dr. Lanka is not so very well known outside the German-speaking world, but he is the guy who not only said, hey, I don't think viruses exist, but also when he challenged people to prove it in court. Do viruses exist? And if so, they can win 100,000 euros, which is about $115,000, or 85,000 pounds.
We're talking about the famous measles trial.
Yeah, and nobody succeeded. Yeah, there was one doctor backed by the whole of the pharmaceutical cartel, and even they were unable to present conclusive proof that viruses exist.
Yes, Dr. Lanka asked specifically for the one scientific paper proving the isolation of the measles virus and its diameter. And this German doctor sent him 6 papers claiming there's your virus.
Yeah.
And one of these papers is the reference paper with respect to the measles virus. So when you go on Wikipedia and you look for measles virus, it says the measles virus was isolated in 1954 by John Franklin Enders. But the problem is that in his paper, there is no virus isolation. According to the virology manuals, according to the classical method of virus isolation, which is called sucrose density gradient centrifugation. And every second-year biology student would be able, according to this method, to isolate a virus during one afternoon. But it's never been done. And in either this paper or in all other papers, what the scientists are doing, they are working with cell particles.
Yeah.
Isolated cell particles from a cell culture, which is patented, which is kept alive, nota bene, which is kept alive only with the help of the so-called bovine fetal serum. This is a serum which is acellular and is obtained mind me, sorry for this picture, but you have to get it to understand beyond the words. What is beyond the words? It's called bovine fetal serum. You find it in every vaccine. It's because the cells are only kept alive with this serum, which is obtained with a syringe by extracting this serum from the heart of an unborn calf in the body of the cow. And this is how they keep their cells alive in the lab, because all cells are dying in the lab. All cultured cells have nothing more in common with the cells in our body, with the tissues in our body. Everything is dying. Yeah, so they're doing experiments with these cells, claiming that because the cells die, there must be a virus that kills them. But what they don't do is they don't say how they prepare this cell culture. Yeah, which means, of course, first they take away all the nutrients which they had before given to the cells to keep them alive. They take away all the cells and they put antibiotics in the cell culture. So the cells would die anyway, no matter what you put in there afterwards, or if you don't put anything in there afterwards, if you just wait. Antibiotics kill the cells independently. There's no need for any fictitious virus. And they don't do control experiments, which of course it's crucial in science. You have to have control experiments, meaning if you claim that in the patented cell culture, you put some fluid from somebody's body who has, say, coronavirus, and then when the cells die, if you claim that it was the virus in the saliva of that person that killed the cells, then you should as well take saliva from a healthy person, repeat the experiment the same way, and then you can see that the cells die exactly the same. And the third control experiment is you take the cells, you treat them the same way, you put antibiotics inside, and then you just wait with nothing from anything anywhere. And then you see the cells die in exactly the same way. And Dr. Lanka, together with a microbiology professor, officially repeated these experiments with the same patented cell culture obtained from the WHO, because you can't do experiments with anything else, even though they claim the virus is everywhere. It's in our lungs, it's in our bronchi, it's in our throat, wherever. Yeah, but why don't I isolate it from there? Why do I need that specific cell culture, treat it that specific way? Even with this simple fact, you can see something is wrong there. Yeah.
Let me try and put this into a more everyday perspective, take it out of the laboratory. And everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who has had shall we say, an accident and maybe lost part of a finger or something like that. The part that's cut off, fallen off, unless they can sew it back on within, 35 minutes, that's dead.
Yes.
As soon as it leaves the body, it
dead.
starts dying.
So every cell that is outside the body loses all its specificity, loses all its characteristics of the vital body. It's the same with blood. Blood for transfusions is a dead substance. It's a substance from a bag. It's a dead substance from a bag. The body first has to metabolize it and to eliminate it before it creates new blood.
It's like, as any biologist will tell you, such as Professor Bruce Lipton, this isn't a random collection of cells. It's a highly organized community of 70 trillion cells. And once the connection to the community has been lost, then the ordered processes stop. It goes random and dies.
Exactly. And it's not only a community of cells, but it's a community of bacteria. we have in our body 10 times more bacteria than cells.
Yes, I
Means
know.
we are guests in a body of bacteria. And now imagine everything that is given to the body in the meaning of antibiotics. Even the word shows you anti-bios, against the life, against life. So why would I want to give my body something that is against what is alive in me? Why would I want to destroy something which is in me? I mean, it's been known since Pasteur that bacteria are not the causes of illnesses. He was experimenting in the lab, and he saw that in a tissue full of oxygen, bacteria were not multiplying. They were doing nothing. They were really harmless. Yeah? They get in action, first of all, at the command of the brain. There's nothing going on in our body without the brain ordering it and controlling it. Yeah, this is what we have to know. So Pasteur knew that bacteria don't cause any disease. His main opponent at the time, Professor Béchamp, who had already published a lot of things on pleomorphism and something like that, and they knew that bacteria don't cause disease. This is why Pasteur had to postulate something smaller than a bacteria. Oh, if the bacteria don't cause disease, it must be something smaller which gets through the filters, something that we don't see. It's invisible, but let's call it virus.
I think the name came later than Pasteur, from a Dutch biologist, according to research I've been done. But Pasteur
was the one who cemented the dogma.
Yeah, well, he says in his memoirs, which were sealed in a safe until the last of his children died, he said he falsified many of his results in order to sell this postulate.
Yes, I've read the book. It's by Professor Gayson from the Princeton University. And he researched for 10 years the private books of Pasteur. And then he came out in 1995 and published the book, The Private Science of Louis Pasteur. Yeah. And how, like we say it ironically, at that moment, a bag of rice fell in China. Nothing happened in the world of science.
Ah, I see what you mean.
He was a plagiarist.
Yeah.
He was a fake.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. Even somebody said in the Süddeutsche Zeitung, there was an article saying, yeah, Professor Gayson's book and Pasteur cheated a little bit here and there, but it was great that the great scientist relied more on his intuition than on his experiments. And I say, excuse me, no, I can't buy that.
No,
yeah?
He lied.
He lied. He faked his experiments.
And that's why Béchamp was so annoyed with him.
Yeah.
And I think my personal opinion is that Béchamp was so convinced he was right that he reincarnated as Gaston Naison.
Oh, yeah.
Invented the somatoscope.
The somatoscope, yes.
Which made it for the first time possible to view living viruses.
Not viruses, but living cells.
Yeah,
and the bacteria in the blood.
Yeah.
The way they act.
But living
structures
made it possible to view things as small as viruses living. And 30 years later, they still haven't found any.
Yeah. The small particles in the blood. Yeah. And I remember there's a video out there on YouTube with the somatoscope, and it's showing in real time and in real blood, it's showing a bacteria which is changing its form.
Yeah.
From a bacillus, so from a long one to a round one, to a coccus. Yeah? Staphylococcus, streptococcus. We don't need to fear them. They're not the cause of the disease.
No.
Even if they're found there. There's a very nice metaphor in the documentary, The 5 Biological Laws of Nature, that I recommend with all my heart. And the metaphor is, what if we find firemen everywhere where there's fire, and we would say, oh, look, there's a fire. The firemen are always there. They must be the cause.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with bacteria. Whenever we have in our body, whenever we have damaged tissue,
Mm-hmm.
it's the biological role of bacteria to decompose and to carry out this tissue.
That's what Nesson's proved with
Yes.
his somatoscope.
Yes, nothing else. So it's all biological. It's all cooperation. It's
Yeah.
all for our best. It's
Mhm.
all for our health and for our survival. In biology, it doesn't work like war. I mean, this good, bad, somebody's attacking us, and we have to poison whatever is vital in our body. I mean, why would I want to destroy myself like that? It's suicide in rates. Why would I want to do that?
Yeah. I have no answer to that question.
Yeah, that's why the work is very important to inform people
Yeah.
about the real causes of diseases, and that microorganisms and microbes are definitely not the cause. Yeah?
This is something which shows up curiously enough, in the coronavirus statistics.
Mm-hmm.
What we see is, okay, it's been called officially a world pandemic. Now, to qualify for this title, a minimum of 10 countries must have an epidemic of the same disease. Right? So far, not one country has reached the threshold to qualify for an epidemic. An epidemic is a minimum of 1% of the entire population.
Yeah.
Even China, which has the highest number of cases, they come to 0.0009%.
Yeah, you see.
Italy, 0.00. Oh, sorry, in America, 0.00002%.
Yeah. And they call us fake news. And what they're doing is distributing fake news and faking it.
No, the point I was trying to make is that in China, we've seen since the middle of February that the number of cases, new cases every day, is rapidly declining. I mean, I can tell you how many it is today. China. Where is China? Right. We have today 36 new cases. That's down from a high of, I think the high was 3,000 cases in one day.
Yeah.
And it's been declining ever since. That shows you that, so far as China is concerned, this particular disease is dissipating. There are a number of other countries where it's rapidly going down as well. In Europe, it's still going up because,
they still
we
have
haven't had it that
to do.
long.
Yeah, they still have something to do behind the curtains.
But if you look at it,
but if you let me say it like this: if you check the scientific background, I would rather say that we don't have a coronavirus epidemic. We have a test epidemic.
Yeah.
What they're doing is they test people who have the same symptoms that everybody has, or almost everybody has, in January and February. It's like flu-like symptoms. It's colds or whatever.
It's just a natural way of discharging the cold of winter.
And as soon as you test somebody with these tests, which are not specific for the virus, because they don't have the virus, these tests, which are not calibrated with the golden standard of medicine, of science, which means the virus. What they do is they patented the test, by the way, before having any virus.
Yeah.
It's in all the papers now that Canadian scientists have finally managed to isolate the virus. And let me ask you, okay, if you just now isolated the virus, let's assume it is so, how have you patented the tests that you've been using so far without having the virus?
Well, let me tell you the answer to that, because I have that from somebody who has good contacts with the World Health Organization. How much do you think such a test costs?
I don't know, but if you test hundreds of millions...
Well,
It's
I know, I can
good
tell
money
you,
to be made out of it.
in Europe it costs €150 per test.
Nice.
And how many million people do we have willing to be tested?
Do the math.
Most of those people are perfectly healthy.
Yeah.
And the money is to be made in the test. And
And
that's what
if-
it's all about.
And if a person has a normal cold,
Yeah.
but of course he is living in fear
Yeah.
with the whole fake news bombing, which is taking place right now, and he says, oh my God, I could have the virus. Let's get tested.
Mhm.
And of course, in a biological process, if your body is just working something out right now,
Yeah.
if you have a cold, and if you have some, I don't know, if bacteria are at work right now, yeah, or something else is happening in your body, you are, of course, very, very, you can possibly be positive tested, yeah, because your body, in the moment where you have a biological process, which is active at that moment, your body produces the so-called emergency proteins, which are meant to repair tissue.
Yeah.
The damaged tissue is repaired with these emergency proteins. And what they're doing with those tests, which are, again, uncalibrated, they have no gold standard, research that, they are finding some proteins,
Yeah.
and they assume and claim that these proteins must belong to a certain virus.
Despite the fact that with a somatoscope, you can see that the human body has produced them itself in order to
Of course.
heal itself.
Yes. The body produces everything it needs when it needs it. Nothing comes from outside, nothing infects us. Yeah. It's been known, actually, for centuries. Yeah.
Well, even going back not very far, I can't remember who it was now, but there was quite a lot of... See, I have this from Bruce Lipton. But it was a few years ago now. They discovered with a series of tests that almost all known disease germs are present in everybody, but they just don't do anything. They're
Yes.
inactive.
Yes. Yeah, because
So,
we are a body made out of bacteria.
So nothing comes from outside.
Of course.
It's all internal.
Yes. And it's everything at the control, at the command of the brain.
Yeah.
And it's all to help us survive. Because imagine you have somewhere in your body, you have damaged tissue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, following an emotional conflict,
Mm-hmm.
which when it strikes, starts a biological conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as tissue is damaged, when the body enters into the repair phase, this tissue must be decomposed and eliminated.
Exactly.
This
Yeah.
explains the coughing, for instance.
Yeah.
These are dead cells
Mm-hmm.
at the lung level, bronchi level, that the body doesn't need anymore. So they need to be decomposed and coughed, eliminated. So how do you eliminate them? Through coughing. It's a natural process, and it's a healing phase.
Just like skin rashes
Yes, it's a reparation process.
or diarrhea, it's an intestinal cleaning.
Of course, of course. The body eliminates everything that it doesn't need.
Yeah.
Yeah, the body is the supreme intelligence. One cell in our body is more intelligent than the whole doctors and the whole experts on the whole planet. One cell. Yeah. I mean, they weren't even able to replicate mother milk. They have all the ingredients and they couldn't replicate it. So, excuse me, science, bad luck. Yeah. You don't know nature. Nature rules. It's biology.
Yes, we need to move away from this chemical fabric
Yes.
back to living in accord with who we are and where we are. We are
the
the
laws of nature.
we are the custodians of this planet,
Yes.
and this planet feeds and nurtures us. Just let it happen. And
And we are much more than that. I mean, we are not matter. We are energy and vibration, and everything in life is about keeping this energy and multiplying it.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing in biology is about destruction. Nothing is about war. We don't have to be anti anything. Mm-hmm. We have to be pro-life.
Exactly.
Yeah? And when we see that somebody is trying to scare us into something, when we see that somebody is trying to make us fear something, then we can know, okay, there's the lie.
Yeah.
There's the lie. As soon as, just a small example, when we took our son for the first vaccine-related visit to the pediatrician, the first thing she told us was, well, I saw a baby which died because of, I don't know what vaccine was modern back then. You know the story. Every doctor knows a child who died from a vaccine-preventable disease, blah, blah. And I said, okay, but I also know a baby whose liver almost exploded after the hepatitis B vaccine. But excuse me, I can identify that you're trying to scare me.
Yeah.
And this is no basis for a rational decision. If you go and talk science, okay, I'm all ears. But if you just try to scare me, this is no adult conversation.
Yeah.
This is brainwashing. This is manipulation.
Yeah.
I don't fall for that, sorry. Yeah, so she was quiet. But how many people have the courage or the self-confidence to do that?
Well, the self-confidence comes from knowledge.
From information and knowledge. Knowledge is power.
Yeah. You have a couple of books to recommend. Have you got the titles in your?
Well, there were the German books that I read.
Oh, they're not available in English?
There are a lot of English books to be read. I don't know, it's now any title.
Well, maybe you can research them and then we can just blend them in.
I will give you the, yes,
afterwards.
I will give you, definitely, I will give you the titles. And of course, there's this very important documentary, which is a must-see. It's called The 5 Biological Laws of Nature. It's a German documentary, but it has English subtitles. And it takes 4 hours.
Oh.
But let me tell you, it's only 4 hours. This is the shortcut to get out of fear, to get out of the matrix, to get rid of all the brainwashing, to change your perspective, to change your value system. Yeah? And it's a must-see. Without that, you can't start. You can reboost your knowledge material. So,
okay. What I will present here is my own book, Tyrannosaurus Pharmaceuticus, R.I.P., which is, the story of what pharmaceutical medicine is, where it came from, and why it's a complete dead end. Apart from one thing which came out of it, the homeopathy. Homeopathy is the most advanced form of medicine.
And aromatherapy, together, both of them.
Yeah, but the thing, what did Hahnemann do, who, the father of homeopathy? He separated the small amount of goodness in a medicine, he separated it from the toxic carrier and then just gave the bit that works. And that's why pharmaceutical industry is trying to destroy homeopathy, because their business is selling chemicals, drugs, not
but
healing.
The ironic thing is that even the pharmaceutical drugs are based, theoretically, on one active substance from a plant.
Yeah.
But the tragical thing is that the scientists take this active substance, this active molecule from the plant, they give it to the chemist in the lab, and they say, okay, now you have to recreate this substance synthetically, because we have to patent it and we have to make a drug out of it. So it's something synthetic, unnatural. The body recognizes it because it's not biocompatible. It's not a living substance. It's a dead substance. So first, you damage your liver, because and your glands, because the body tries to metabolize it, and sometimes it can't. Sometimes it can, but sometimes it can't. So what you have is just pure lab-made synthetic stuff, and it is much better to use the natural stuff.
And that's all that Hahnemann said.
Homeopathic remedies, essential therapeutic oils, everything which is made of vital substances which the body recognizes as alive, and he can use these substances.
One of which is good, clean water. Cheers. Yeah. Well, Feli, that's a very good initial discussion. I hope that you'll find the time to do several more with us.
I'd love to. If you invite me, I will come.
Yeah, we'll get it organized. Yeah.
Okay. I'd love to.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you too for the invitation.
Namaste. Namaste.
Do your research, people.